We are recording now.
Thank you. So this meeting is called to order at 12:02. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's Borough Board meeting being conducted via WebEx conference. There are 4 items on today's agenda for today's meeting. This is a virtual meeting and is being recorded to comply with public law for transparency. It's available for viewing at Borough President 1 Brooklyn Calendar website. On the agenda today, we have acceptance of the minutes from November 3rd. We have a presentation from the Department of City Planning, Principles of Good Urban Design Updates and Public Engagement. We then have a presentation by the Department of Transportation, public engagement regarding open restaurant design guidelines, and then unfinished business. Before we have our first presenter present to us today, I would just like to thank the board members for amending your schedule to join us at 12 o'clock. We do know that you have to adjust your calendars, and it may have been easy for any of you, but we want to make sure everyone was here for our last meeting. And, you know, as this is the last meeting of Board President Adams' administration, we also hoping to have a representative from the new board president-elect who'll come in too as well to also probably say hello at some point during the meeting. But we just want to make sure that we close out the meeting right and make sure the deputy board president was able to be on the line just to give her appreciation and her thank you for being such a wonderful and excellent and attentive board. You guys have worked together in regards to pushing for remote options for community boards. You guys have worked to push for funding for the community boards during the budget process, and also improving the community policing unit initiative under the borough president, providing your input. So it has been a pleasure presiding over the board and the honor this past year. And thank you for accepting me. I'd like to hand the floor over. Before I do that, I'm joined by my colleagues David Perez on technology, Michelle Crutchfield, who will be taking minutes, Hercules Reed, and our land use director, Richard Barrick. I'm going to hand the floor over to the deputy board president, Chaplain Ingrid Luz Martin, who would like to give you some words of greetings at our last board meeting under the administration of Eric Adams.
Good afternoon, everyone. Savannah, first, I thank you for taking over the obligations of hosting and chairing and monitoring the borough boards this last several months. You've been awesome. To the borough board members, you guys were the absolute best. It's been indeed a pleasure for me to work with you the last several years as we move forward with President Adams's initiatives, as well as some of your own initiatives. Each of you have endeared yourself to me in your own special way. Some of you have just been so supportive when we had issues that we sometimes needed guidance and we needed support. You were there, and we know who you are. We will always remember you for those moments, and I thank you. I believe that Brooklyn is in great hands. They have a great borough board delegation. I know that a new administration is coming, and we're excited about the new administration. We're hopeful that the new administration will be able to, build upon some of the great works that has been done by our president. We've been working closely with them, and we know that you will be as good to the new administration, speaking of which, who's on with us? Hey, our new Brooklyn Borough President-elect Antonio Reynoso and his team. I'm sure that you will do well by him and that you will work closely with him as you have worked closely with President Adams's administration. So I want to thank the members of my team, in addition to Savannah, Karen, Michelle, Hercules, Joe Fussell, David Perez, all of you guys.
David Johnson.
Excuse me?
David Johnson. Sorry.
Oh, David Johnson. Well, my right arm, for always being Johnny on the spot and always being with us. And Richard Barrick, he's here today. He's always been here to handle like the special issues with ULURP. So it's been a great team. And again, I salute the borough board. If we were in person, I would have a glass of champagne or a glass of wine for each of you as a final toast and tribute. And it's indeed an honor and a privilege for me to introduce to you. We didn't have this privilege, this honor, Borough President-elect Reynoso. We just came in. So So I am so glad that you are here with us today, so that you can meet some of the members from the Brooklyn Borough Board. All of the members from the Brooklyn Borough Board have been awesome. You will find that they will work with you hand in glove and they will make your life easy. So I don't know who from your team is here, but the floor is yours. This is our newly elected Brooklyn Borough President to be, Antonio Reynoso.
Thank you.
He's also a council member, so.
Thank you to Ingrid and our mayor-elect Eric Adams, all Brooklyn, all day. We're happy about that. I just want to say to the entire, Eric Adams team, thank you so much for everything, your hospitality, how great you've been to our transition team, how great you've been to me. And I can't tell you how grateful I am that I'm going to be able to start on a solid foundation, something that might have not or wasn't awarded to you. So I just really want to say thank you for being so kind and generous with your time, your resources. I can't tell you how grateful I am. I know that it's a privilege. Not every borough president like this receiving the same type of treatment that I am here. So I want to thank you. To the Borough Board, very, very happy to meet you all. I'm looking forward to continuing on the work on the foundation that Eric has built and the team has built.
Someone needs to mute. I'm sorry, I do apologize.
Yeah, so Camacho, it would be from Community Board 4, right? Camacho,
You gotta mute.
yourself, Camacho. No, but I just want to say again, thank you all for all you do. I want you to know that if the things that are going right are going to continue to go right. We want to see if there are any things that we can improve on, if there is an opportunity on that. But again, this is a very important group of people here that we want to listen to. We want you guys to help us. We don't know all the answers. We don't have all the answers. We're going to need a lot of help, especially initially in the work that we're doing. So I'm hoping that we could lean on you all. Also, I got a lot of work for you. I hope you guys are ready because I'm going to put you to work. So far, and Ingrid, you correct me, a lot of calls come in. I'm going to be sending a lot of calls out. I'm going to make sure that I keep folks as busy as possible. I want to do a lot of things, and I'm looking forward to it. But again, just want to thank everybody for being here. Thank Ingrid for the work that she's done and her team with the Borough Board. And look, we're very fortunate. We have a mayor that's from Brooklyn, that's going to be, who has a soft spot in his heart for Brooklyn. Hopefully we could pull on those heartstrings and get more resources to our communities that maybe weren't awarded to us during the current administration. So we got a lot to look forward to. We also have a Build Back Better plan and an infrastructure plan that is coming from the federal government to us. A lot of that money is going to be moving through the city, through the state. And if we're organized and we're running well and we're getting along and communicating properly, we could maximize those resources to our community. So that's what I want to make sure we do, is that we're all doing the right thing so we could bring this money to Brooklyn and make sure Brooklyn is using it in an effective way. So again, thank you all, and spread love. It's the Brooklyn way. I'll be on for a bit. Not too long. I apologize for that. And we will eventually, I think, come January, have somebody that will be the liaison for the Borough Board. I will try to pop in as much as possible, but we will let you know who that is. We just haven't hired anyone yet. So again, thank you all. And thank you, Ingrid, for allowing me to speak and being here. It's back to you.
Okay, so thank you, Brooklyn Borough President-elect Antonio Reynoso. Savannah, if you could, since we have the Brooklyn Borough President-elect on with us, and we won't have him on for long, and I also won't be on forever, perhaps we could at least let everyone introduce him or herself and just say hello. There'll be plenty of time for you to start asking him a barrage of questions.
Okay, not a problem. So we'll go down the line with Community Board 1.
Good afternoon, Councilman-elect Reynoso. Dallas Fuller, welcome. Congratulations.
And Michelle, maybe we can multitask and get a quorum in the meantime while we're doing this.
Yep, I'm taking attendance while you go.
All right. Community Board 2.
I see you, Jerry, by the way. I see the district managers, if they're on as well. So, hello, Dianis. Hello, Jerry.
Thank you, Antonio. All the best. We're with you 100%.
Community Board,
Thank
yep.
you, thank you.
Community Board 3.
Good afternoon. Richard Flatteau, Chair, Community Board 3, and congratulations, Borough President Reynoso.
Community Board 4. Mr. Camacho. I think you're on mute.
Yeah, we did that last year.
Okay, I think he's definitely here. Okay.
He's there. I see him.
Community, okay. Community Board 5.
Good afternoon and welcome. We're looking forward to working with you, Borough President-elect Reynoso. Can't wait.
Community Board 6.
Community Board 4 is here.
Thank you, Mr. Camacho. Community Board 6.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
Community Board 7. Julio? Community Board 7?
Yes, Julio Peña, Community Board 7, First Vice Chair here, and I'm incredibly excited to be working with VP-elect Antonio Reynoso. Thank you.
Community Board 8.
Good afternoon. This is Irsa Weatherspoon from CB8 Chair. Congratulations and welcome, VP-elect Reynoso. Looking forward to working with you as well.
Thank you. Community Board 9. Community Board 9 had an excuse. They couldn't be here today, but they always do at 10. The time change was too much for them, I think. Community Board 10.
Hi, this is Lori Willis from Community Board 10. I also have here with me my district manager, Josephine Beckman, and the chair of my Zoning and Land Use Committee, Doris Cruz. We're happy for you. Congratulations. And did I note a Biggie Smalls reference? I just have a question there. Spread love. It's the Brooklyn way.
Says you got it. You got it. Good job, Lori.
Community Board 11.
Good afternoon, Marnie Elias Pavia, District Manager. Congratulations, and we look forward to working with you and your administration.
Community Board 12.
Larry Spitzer, District Manager, Community Board 12. The Borough President-elect has already visited my district a couple of times, so we're looking forward to that. Thank you.
Community Board 13.
Hello, everybody. Congratulations, Mr. Reynoso. I represent the First Vice Chair and the Chair, Lucy Acevedo, and we welcome you anytime to come down to Coney Island or Brighton Beach and visit us, and we'll give you a nice tour. Thank you.
I'll be there soon, Jeffrey. I'll be there soon. I think we got something scheduled early January, so be ready.
Great.
Community Board 14.
Hi, this is Steve Cohen, Second Vice Chair of Community Board 14. To echo what everyone else has said, we very much look forward to working with you, Mr. President-elect, in the coming year. Thanks again.
Community Board 15.
Welcome to the Borough Board. Teresa Scavo, Chair, Community Board 15. Congratulations on your newly elected position, and I look forward to working with you.
Community Board 16.
Hi, Borough President Reynoso elect. My name is Janice Morgan, and I'm the chairperson of Brooklyn Community Board 16, which serves Ocean Hill and Brownsville. And the district manager is Viola Green Walker. We look forward to working with you and having you out in Brownsville so we can talk about everything that's happening in our community.
Community Board 17. Community Board 17, and they're always on as well. Community Board 18. Okay. Michelle, can you do the roll call for council members?
Sure. Council Member Levin. Council Member Reynoso. Council Member Cumbo. Council Member Cornegie. Council Member Diaz. Council
Evelise Rivera here for Councilwoman Dharma Diaz.
Thank you. Council Member Menchaca. Council Member Lander.
Azia Siddiqui here for Councilmember Lander.
Thank you. Council Member Eugene. Council Member Ampry Samuels.
Good morning, good afternoon, Kim Robinson for Councilmember Samuels.
Thank you. Council Member Barron. Council Member Brannon.
Michael Sheldon here for Councilmember Brennan.
Thank you. Council Member Yeager. Councilmember Lewis.
Cynthia Winter for Councilmember Lewis.
Thank you. Councilmember Mizell.
Jonathan Alene for Councilmember Mizell.
Thank you. Councilmember Trega. That's it.
All right. Thank you, Michelle. So I'm board president present, deputy VP present, and representative in the chat from Councilmember Robert Cornegie also present for the record.
So I thank everyone. We have quorum. So I thank all the council members, especially who sent in their representatives. And again, the Borough Board, you guys have been aces. Love you. Blessings to each and every one of you. We do look forward to working in partnership with you as well as with our president-elect, Antonio Reynoso, so that we could build a better Brooklyn and a better overall city. It's been a blessing. And, you know, we will be in touch. We will be in touch. I promise you. I'm muting myself and I'm leaving it to you, Savannah. I'm going to go. Take care.
Thank you, Deputy VP. Thank you. Thank you so much, Board President-elect. So we'll bring...
Take care, Savannah. Thank you.
Thank you, Board. Thank you, guys. So we're going to go back to the agenda, which is acceptance of the board minutes from November the 3rd. So minutes were sent to members in advance. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Is there a motion to accept the minutes from November the 3rd?
Teresa Scavo, Community Board 15, motions to approve the minutes.
Robert Camacho, CB4, approves it.
Okay. Anyone abstain? No. Any? The motion has passed. The minutes from November 3rd has been approved. That concludes our first item on the agenda, acceptance of the minutes from November 3rd. We now are going to go into a presentation lined up from the New York City Department of Transportation and City Planning. So just bear me one moment. Since we went out of order, let me just pull up my notes. And Emily, are you here?
You're here, yes.
Emily?
Yes.
Just want to make sure. Okay. Yeah. So this afternoon we have a presentation from the Department of Transportation regarding public engagements regarding open restaurant design guidelines. As it was announced, it tended to replace emergency sidewalk and street use by eating and drinking establishments starting in January of 2023 with new guidelines governing furnishing placement of protection structure. Representatives of the Department of City Planning and Transportation are here and will be available to respond to any questions board members may have regarding the intent to regulate open restaurants. You may recall the adopted board resolution include calling for community boards to have a proactive role in the development of design of operational standards, as well as DOT to establish a public participation process and enable the development of rules to be promulgated by DOT to include multiple opportunities to weigh in before draft rules are put forth for public comment. While City Planning Commission did not agree to defer modification of the zoning resolution, it did recommend retaining existing regulations until it would be time that DOT anticipated rules to promulgate permanent guidelines for sidewalk cafe programs for the creation, management, and enforcement of sidewalk cafe operation by DOT. Today's presentation is intended to provide an overall of the process, goals, and timelines for permanent open restaurant design guidelines, as well as share opportunities to provide feedback via public event and survey. The intent is to engage in a robust conversation with the public to craft guidelines that would increase accessibility, safety, and address concerns of noise, hours of operation, sanitation, and snow removal. The first two virtual roundtable will be held on Tuesday, January the 11th from noon to 1:30, and I'm sure our presenters could provide more information. And Wednesday, January the 12th from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Further updates and schedule will be on the DOT Permanent Open Restaurant Program page. The schedule will be posted on New York City Engage. So please welcome Emily Weidenhoff, Director of Public Space, Director of Space Senior from, Director of Space, Director of Space. Can you give us just your title, Emily? I seem to have a mishap here.
Sure, no worries. Director of Public
Emily, are you
Space.
there?
Yes, Director of Public
Emily
Space
Weidenhoff?
at New York City.
I guess Director of Space from DOT. She could correct me when she gets on. And also Eric Gregory, Chief Urban Designer and Director of Urban Design from Department of City Planning. So the floor is yours. You could correct your title and state your name and the record for the board and begin your presentation. Thank you.
Hi, are folks able to hear me?
David, do we have Emily?
Yes, I can.
Or Eric?
I can hear Emily. Sarana.
No?
I don't know. Maybe
Are
your
they muted?
your computer's
Do we have to
freezing.
unmute them?
Just checking.
Director of Public Space, thank you very much.
Yeah, we're hearing her, Sarana. I don't know.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
We're hearing her.
The floor is yours. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm going to share my screen and turn it over to my colleague, Eric Gregory, to kick us
David,
off. Thank you.
Do you have your presentation?
Okay. Can everyone hear
It
me
was
okay?
just up on the screen.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we're able to hear you.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for having us today to share this brief update on the design guidelines process for open restaurants. My name is Eric Gregory. I'm the Chief Urban Designer here at City Planning, and I'm joined by Emily Weidenhoff, the Director of Public Space at the Department of Transportation. We also have a few other colleagues on the call here to help us answer any questions that you may have of us. Next slide. Our brief presentation today will give you a really quick update on overall on the status of the program, and then we'll drift into the permanent design guide goals and process, and outlining a lot of the engagement that we have, and share next steps. Next slide. Many of you have probably been briefed by other colleagues from our prospective agencies during the public review process for the text amendment. The City Planning Commission voted to approve that on the 15th. It's currently at City Council. We are waiting word back from them on a time to schedule our review of that text amendment proposal. But what we're really here to focus on today with you is our design engagement process, which we announced in early October and have since provided some updates which are published to DOT's website, which Emily will walk you through shortly. But that design engagement process is kind of really ramping up now and will run into next year and culminate with draft design guidelines in spring of next year that will feed into the rulemaking process, which will begin in spring or summer of next year into the fall. And while we mentioned kind of this really intense effort now on design, we just want to stress that this is an ongoing conversation as we've gathered lots of input throughout this public review process. Many of you on this call have been a part of that. We are taking all of that feedback to heart and really looking to what role design can play as we continue to formulate a permanent program, which not only we feel will provide very clear design guidelines, but also a very thorough application process and robust enforcement, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Next slide. And again, for those of you that might be new to this conversation, just want to kind of set some overall markers here. Again, we're talking about a permanent program that will be administered by DOT for both the sidewalk and roadway seating program. As it stands in the emergency program, we want to make this available citywide. And we know that more robust and fine-tuned sidewalk clear path and roadway siting criteria, amongst a host of other improvements that we need to make to address quality of life concerns, is a part of this process. And while DOT will be the overall stewards of the program, it's important to remember that our colleagues at the New York PD, Department of Sanitation, and Department of Health, who have roles pre-COVID and helping us with sidewalk cafes as they existed previously, will continue to have a role to play in the future with respect to their focus as listed here on the slide with respect to noise, garbage removal, and food safety rules. For more on the design guidelines process itself, I'm going to pass it over to Emily now, who will walk you through that.
Thanks so much, Eric. As Eric said, this is a really exciting and critical moment for us all to transition from an emergency program to a permanent program. And we've really taken all of the really fantastic and very important feedback that we've heard from all of you, from all of your colleagues in the other 4 boroughs, as well as folks from the hospitality industry and all of our sister agencies, and to really set up a series of goals to have a well thought out, fine-tuned program for the permanent rollout in 2023. So very specifically, this next phase is looking at the design guidelines, distances, clearances from the street, and the shape of the actual structures themselves. Based on all the feedback that we've heard, we've set forth these goals as we look to chart out program design guidelines. First off, accessibility, making sure that setups are inclusive to all users, as well as ensuring that our sidewalks are usable and inclusive for all users when setups are happening. Safety is incredibly critical here at the Department of Transportation. And so certainly for outdoor dining, that's the same. And we're putting safety first, making sure that emergency vehicles have access to streets as well as the adjacent buildings and properties. And also ensuring that setups are really safe for all users of our streetscape. So making sure that drivers are able to have, make critical visual contact to signage, as well as making sure that drivers, cyclists, and pedestrians all have clear sight lines to each other. Another really critical goal for the permanent program is flexibility. I'm sure as many of you know, so many things happen on our streets, and we really need to make sure that outdoor dining is coordinated amongst all of the really important critical work, ranging from emergency utility work to all of the transportation planning that we here at the department do every day in terms of bike lanes and loading zones, commercial metered parking, as well as bus lanes. And then also all of the critical maintenance and sanitation that it takes to keep our streets working well. Another huge goal and layer to the design guidelines is equity. As Eric mentioned, a huge success of the emergency program was the ability for restaurants all across the city to participate in outdoor dining. And so as we move the program forward, we want to make sure that the parameters for participating are inclusive and provide an opportunity for businesses who wish to participate. And then lastly, appearance and neighborhood context. As we heard when we spoke to the Queens Borough Board last night, everyone's aware of the kind of plywood setups, the plywood city that has surrounded a lot of the emergency setups. And so we want to make sure that the design guidelines are really driving kind of clean, attractive, and well-maintained setups, as well as setups that are responsive to the different contexts and local street conditions in our very large city. And so with that, we're here with you this afternoon to ask for your help in getting the word out and building a really robust participation in a whole series of public engagement sessions that we're going to be holding to really get as much feedback as possible as we develop this criteria. As we've mentioned, we are in robust conversations with all of our sister agencies. So Eric and I, along with all of our city colleagues, ranging from the fire department and the police departments to departments of sanitation, Department of Health, small business services, and so on, are meeting regularly to make sure that we are identifying the key issues with the emergency program and solving them for the permanent program. We're also partnering with Alfresco NYC, which is a coalition of folks that are bringing together industry professionals, folks from the Hospitality Alliance, design and planning professionals, accessibility advocates, transportation advocates, to really weigh in and collect best practices, really leaning in on the knowledge base that we have here in the city to help drive, again, best practices and good design guidelines for the future. We also have a public survey that is currently open. It's accessible on our website. We have over 6,000 responses so far. nyc.gov/open restaurants is really the home for the program, for all the updates, for all the information. But you can please share that website. Eric will share a link to the survey in our chat. Please share with all of your stakeholders and have them participate and give us some really quick feedback on next steps of the program. We also are offering this one page brochure. It's available for as a PDF, so you can download it, also print it out, also available on our website, and Eric will share the link. This is a really great resource to share with folks to make sure everybody has the kind of latest background on the goals of the permanent program and how the city, along with all of you, wants to move forward to beyond the emergency to a permanent program. And then lastly, we will be hosting a few virtual public roundtables in January. That is going to be a really critical moment for anyone with very specific feedback. Encourage folks to participate and to give us all of your knowledge. And so with that, next steps for us include continuing to speak with the borough boards and service cabinet meetings, the virtual roundtables. Again, this information is also on our website, but Tuesday and Wednesday, January 11th and 12th, both a midday and an evening session. So hopefully folks can join us. The goal is to then use all of this feedback to release a draft of the permanent program design guidelines in March of next year. We'll then do a very similar circle back to all of you through either the borough board or your service cabinet meetings to review the draft, get additional feedback, and then ultimately release updated guidelines later in the spring. All of this will be happening as the CAPA process for DOT rulemaking around the permanent program kicks off in the summer through the fall of next year as well. So the real goal here is to work with everyone on the ground to craft a much more solid program moving forward, and then also to have a set of design and planning principles in place so that restaurants know what to expect, that they can plan, and that all of this will happen in 2022 in time for the rollout of the permanent program in 2023. And with that, we'll turn it back to you for any of your questions, comments, etc. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Emily. Now I'm going to turn it over to board members if they have any questions regarding the presentation. I do ask in the interest of time, we do want to hear your opinion. We have been discussing open restaurants cafe a couple of months now, so we do ask that you make your point brief, but still make your point in the interest of time. So do we have any questions from board members?
Yes, Camacho.
Concerns or comments?
Yes, CB4 Camacho.
Yes, Mr. Camacho. Yes.
Yes, all those pictures. It's just a little comment and real concern where the status quo pushed the agenda forward without having deep conversations, especially with the communities like ours, like Bushwick. We're not Manhattan, where they're building those beautiful things that really look nice. As you see what's going on here, these sheds look terrible. They're filling with garbage. It's not rats.
Did Mr. Camacho delay or is it me?
You're having issues, Sarana.
He's buffing.
Okay, could a member of the team just keep on taking questions from the board members?
I have my hand raised, Jeffrey Sano, first vice chair, CB 13. There were agencies mentioned, but I think a couple of agencies were left out, especially DEP on the environmental issues like floatables, so the sewer basins don't get clogged up. And also, I don't know if the design commission has anything to do with the sheds or the outdoor dining housing. Can you answer those questions?
Yes, that's a great point. My list of the city agencies that we're coordinating with was not exhaustive. So just to confirm, DEP, the Design Commission, Landmarks Preservation Commission, Mayor's Office of People with Disabilities, a whole host of city agencies are participating in our interagency coordination process.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Any other questions from board members? Just state your name and affiliation. I'm not, do we have any hand raised? I'm not.
Barry Spitzer, Community Board 12.
Yes, go ahead.
Since this looks like it's being pushed forward, regardless I mean, the Brooklyn Borough Board is not supporting this. My question is, moving forward, is there anywhere that community boards are going to have a say if this goes into effect? Is there anywhere where local elected officials and community boards is going to have a say in when a restaurant files for a permit for one of these open streets or open restaurants?
That's a great question. Community board input has been a huge issue that we've heard from folks across the city as part of the emergency program. And we are very actively thinking about the community board input and process piece of this. And so, yeah, that will be something that we'll be addressing in the program development moving forward.
And
Thank you.
DOT commit to the board that there will be some type of input from community boards and elected officials?
Yeah, Emily, this is Julia. I can jump in. We are, as we go forward with the permanent program, it will not be self-certification, similar to what it is right now in the emergency program. So community boards will have a say in the acceptance of these restaurants after they apply.
Are you looking into making it advisory, or it should be a real say? Like if community board says we do not want this at this location, here are the reasons why. Is that advisory, or you're looking to make this a real input?
We are still coming up with all of the exact guidelines of what will be included in the application, but it's very helpful to hear from community boards that they would like more of a say. And so we'll take that into account.
Thank you, Barry. Any other questions?
That it's critical that when this design process goes through, that the community boards take advantage to make it clear what are good examples, what are bad examples in this process to help the rules in the first place initiate in a way that they may be more favorable to community boards.
Thank you, Richard. Do we have any other questions from board members?
Community Board
Pardon me?
Community Board 1.
Yes, Ms. Fuller.
Dallas Fuller, Community Board 1. Any restaurant or whoever is applying for the outdoor restaurants with their applications, will everybody be required to use the same materials for their structure?
We're currently in the process of developing the guidelines. I think we would like to make sure that there are options for restaurants in terms of materiality. But again, I think we want to be laying out options that both promote safety, but also kind of a clean aesthetics, something that is robust, that can withstand the kind of wear and tear of being in the roadway. But that's something that we will be developing over the course of this design guideline process.
Okay, will everybody be using the same type design, or will you have designs that you've come up with that people can choose different designs?
Given that the city is so huge, we anticipate that there will probably be a few different options.
Will you provide those options?
So the goal of the design guideline process is to create a set of kind of written and visual pictures that will help make the requirements as clear and legible for folks as possible.
Eric here at City Planning. I think we've gotten this question a lot. Members of the Queens Borough Board also were asking around, could examples be provided? And I think that's something we definitely want to make sure is out there, so that, you know, we can learn from the good ones and improve the ones that are not so great. So I think, you know, getting this feedback today is important as we kind of really roll up our sleeves to start looking at how to make this a much more accessible program, where the guidelines are very visual and comprehensible, and that the city's kind of putting a strong foot forward based on a lot of robust feedback that we're hearing to make sure that the designs are improved beyond what they are today.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Any other questions from members of the board before we
Yes.
open it?
Lori Willis, Community Board 10. Hi, I have two questions. Number one is, when do you plan on giving us our next update on this? Because you know, we have certain committees going to the drawing board on trying to work on, you know, input for you, and so you know, we can get that back to you in a timely fashion and in a way that is meaningful to you. That's my first question. So I'm sorry. So do you have a timeline on, you know, the next time you'll be presenting or being available for input of boards on the rulemaking?
So in March of 2022, our draft design guidelines will come out, and there will be a public process post that to comment on that. And then our rulemaking will begin in the summer of next year.
Okay, so there'll be no, I mean, briefings, I'm saying, such as these, or briefings to community boards, that won't be occurring before then?
Emily, you may know better than me on this, but I'm
sorry. So briefings for the general rules of the program or for the design guidelines?
Well, either or, you know, briefings such as these to Borough Board, or briefings to the community boards themselves, so that we have.
yeah. So the plan for the next couple of months is to really come up with these design guidelines and the design guidelines and the rules. And as we go forward, we will, as we have more information, we are happy to come back and present them. But the plan up until March is to really spend this next couple of months coming up with what those draft design guidelines are.
Okay, and then my other question
sorry, I just want to reiterate, because it's similar to what we're seeing in the chat here. I do want to encourage folks, you know, a huge part of getting in touch with residents is through the community boards. And so it's really critical to make sure you invite folks to our public roundtables about the design guidelines in January. So again, on our website, nyc.gov/open restaurants, also in the chat, Tuesday, January 11th at noon, and Wednesday, January 12th at 6 p.m. Those are really great forums where we will be presenting updates and soliciting very specific feedback about design guidelines. So please share that information and encourage folks to attend.
Okay, so you wouldn't be looking for input, before you come up with the rules, like to promulgate the guidelines. You're just going to come up with them and then put them out for a roundtable. Am I understanding that?
Right now is an open feedback session. So there are different ways you can give us feedback about the design guidelines, the survey, and then also attending these roundtables. If you have a set of kind of consolidated feedback that you'd like to provide, you can send that to us and we will incorporate that as part of our development of the design guidelines.
Okay,
That's
that
also
would be
something you
great.
can share at the roundtable meetings directly and talk it through with us as well.
Okay, so if we send that consolidated feedback, can you just put where to send that in the chat so that we can do that?
Yes, you can send it directly to our Brooklyn Borough Commissioner's office,
Okay.
and that will make sure that it gets to everybody, both on the DOT and the city planning side.
Thank you so much. That's great. And my other question is just, you had mentioned that you were working with the regional, you said Alfresco NYC, which is it was a project of RPA, the Regional Planning Association. And they're, to my understanding, I know that they had done other presentations to Borough Board, that they're just they're an individual nonprofit. So my question is, what is their share in this input process?
So they've been having conversations with a larger set of stakeholders in the, again, design professionals, transportation advocates, accessibility advocates. So they will be pulling together a series of virtual conversations to solicit kind of goals, best practices of what these groups are seeing on the ground to help provide input as well. So it's really just another layer of input that we're getting about the permanent program.
So they're getting information from, I'm sorry. I don't really understand that. They're getting information from a larger set of stakeholders. So what is their outreach in case, we want to have input on that end as well?
So they're still pulling together a plan and we'll probably launch more details in the new year. There's going to be a kickoff that they are going to be hosting in the next couple of weeks. And we can definitely get more details and follow up with you on that.
All right, so that would be through RPA then.
RPA, Design Trust, and the
Tri-State Transportation Campaign.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. And just they
are.
are.
The boards really should look at January and February, and if they meet early enough in March, to take advantage to get whatever they see as good examples, bad examples, to feed the process now. And I think photographs of good and bad examples in your communities would be very helpful to help DOT and city planning process as they develop the design guidelines. So again, rather than words, I really think images of what is working and what is not working, and having your committees go out into your retail streets that tend to have restaurants, because we are expecting the city council to adopt the zoning text put forth by city planning based on the commission modification. You have to expect that's likely to happen. And because that is what drove city planning to undertake the text change in the first place from a city council resolution. So the premise is that we're probably in this new universe, and the question is how to get this new universe right over the next year.
Yes, thanks so much, Richard, and thank you very much.
Richard, thank you for that clarification. I don't see any more questions from members of the board.
Yes, I just
do we have
one quick comment to respond to Richard. bringing up,
Barry?
yeah, bringing up the city council. So the city council didn't vote on this yet, right? Correct, Richard? They're voting at it in the new legislative session?
In the next stated meeting, I would expect this to be completed. So this month.
So this month. So why did we go ahead before even the council voted on this?
We're not really going ahead in a way. I mean,
He's going ahead with the process before the council voted on it.
well, I mean, this process wouldn't go further if the council were to stop. I mean, we still have emergency rules. So if the council were to not adopt this, but it's not expected because again, the council did a resolution that
was for
initiated
emergency,
work with
right?
city planning. So we're gaining an extra month of considering what may be the outcome by having this conversation today rather than waiting to have this conversation first start in January. Because if the goal is by the end of December, because that's when the emergency order runs next year, right? So the more months you have to think about something, the more months you have to get it right. And obviously this gets aborted if the council surprisingly doesn't adopt anything.
Thank you for that, Richard. I'm going to now open. Do you have any questions for members of the public? And this will be limited. I think we scrolled through questions in the chat, but do we have any public comments or questions regarding this presentation? Okay. All right. So I don't see any questions from members or questions from the public. David, are you able to hear me clearly?
I'm sorry. How do we volunteer to ask a question? It was unclear what the protocol was, so I didn't want to interrupt.
Oh, you have a question? Raise your hand, and if someone, did you raise your hand? I'm having a little bit. Is your hand raised?
I'm sorry, I can't see where to do that. Sorry about that.
No problem. Are you members of the public?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, no problem. You can just state your name, your affiliation, and go ahead.
Sure. My name is Sherry Leone, and I'm a resident of Manhattan, but I also am a member of a coalition that spans across Brooklyn and Queens and called Q Up. And my question is for the members of the DOT that are here today. I've sat in many, many meetings over the past 7 months listening to your presentations about this program. And I have to say that I haven't heard any specific answers about the particular the guidelines in your program that are going to address many of the concerns that citizens have raised over the past 8 months. And I'm wondering where you are in this process, why what you're offering as solutions is not any more specific than what you've been able to say. I mean, I see that you understand our concerns about the trash and the vermin and the noise, but I don't see that you've posed any positive, concrete solutions to those problems. And I'm wondering why.
So Cheryl, thank you for the question. I think as we embark on this process of going through this design guidelines and coming up with rules, a lot of your concerns will be addressed. And as we all know that this program was stood up very quickly in the emergency, trying to help restaurants get through this pandemic. And as we continue, we are taking into account all of these issues that people have raised, and those issues will be addressed in the rules and guidelines when they're put out.
Yes, I'm sorry. I appreciate that. I'm sorry. I won't take up any more time other than to say that I have actually literally heard that comment from your department for the past 7 months, and I really would appreciate if you would shed some light on the very specific ways that you are going to address that, rather than to just promise that you will be doing it at some future date.
Well, we're working with a number of different agencies as we come up with these rules and guidelines, and working with them to make sure that all of those issues are addressed. So at this point, we don't have, at this point, we are still in the process of designing what the rules will be to address that. But we are in the process of doing that and working with all of the different city agencies and our partners here to make sure that all of those issues are addressed in the permanent program.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for that. We're able to take 2 more. If any members from the public, please raise your hand. And
Hi, Savannah. This is Melinda Perkins, CB5. I apologize for coming in on the public portion. Um, I was just trying to allow the chairs and board members to have their questions presented. Just, I have two things that I'm just trying to figure out. I know we were, this was a fantastic initiative under the height of the pandemic to allow for businesses to move forward and to keep the city moving forward. But I would like to understand the impetus behind it now that there are mandates in place for vaccination, and whether or not there's still a strain even on businesses to push for open space to allow for their businesses to continue. And then the other point, going back to Barry's point on having community board input, hopefully case by case, this is actually a change in land use, whether it's in pedestrian walkway, also like you stated with the change with bike lanes and bus lanes and just activity period on the use of land near these restaurants. So I think community boards should have the opportunity to vote, especially because they would know what's best for their district on that process case by case.
Thank you for that, Melinda. Emily? A response? You have, what's the, am I delayed?
Sorry, my unmute button wasn't working. I think that's really important feedback, and again, something that we're hearing across the city, that we need to have a very kind of thoughtful way of community boards being able to provide very site-specific and neighborhood and board specific information. So that's definitely something that we're thinking about, and we'll share how and the different ways that that's being looped in the coming months.
Yeah. Thank you. Two more questions from the public. If not, we'll move the agenda forward. Are there any other hand raised? David Perez, do you see any other hand raised, or Michelle? No? Okay.
I have a question, Savannah.
Ms. Fuller?
Yes, I'd like to know, I've heard all the different agencies and restaurants and businesses that you're sitting down with and that you're working with. I think it would be very advantageous to have community board representatives at the table too, because these open restaurants will be in our districts. And when the problems start, we will be the first ones to call, and then we will have to call you to inform you what the issues are. So I think it's very important that community boards have a representative at the table now. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Yes, Ms. Purcell. My name is Mickey McGee, and
oh, hold on. Before this member of the public.
This is the public session. My hand was
raised. Yes, I know. I understand that. I just wanted to was there a response, Emily, or no? Could I move forward?
So again, I just want to encourage folks to attend and join us at the table at our 2 roundtables in January. That's a really critical touch point to get all of your kind of on the ground experience to the city in a really detailed way, geared specifically at the design guidelines.
You're asking us to encourage people to attend, but you haven't sent us an invitation to attend, but you want us to help you get people there.
Well, so this is us coming to you to invite you and also share all of this information with all of your stakeholders.
Okay. I believe there's 2 more questions. I believe it's Miss Mickey McGree.
Yes, thank you so much. My hand was raised for a while and then someone took it down. I have 3 questions. My first is that
Ms. McGree, I'm going to ask you, this is not a public hearing. The floor is yours as a member of the public. So I'm going to ask you just to, yeah.
Yes, I'm
Go
asking
ahead.
my questions. Thank you very much, Ms. Purcell.
Thank you. Thank you.
30 community boards voted against this. That's a significant majority. My question is, why is it going forward without a response to that vote? And what would it take to stop this failed program? My other question is, the Brooklyn Borough Board voted against this program, yet that vote is incorrectly recorded in the ZAP portal as a favorable vote. My third question is, what would it take to get a hard look at the environmental impact of this program on neighbors across the 5 boroughs of New York? Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to give the floor to the Department of Transportation, but in respect to our Borough Board and our vote, I'm going to hand the floor over to Richard Barrick. So Emily could go first, and then Richard, you could take it.
Sure. And I don't know, Julie, do you want to chime in?
Sure. At this point, we're not going to comment on the environmental review as it's there is a lawsuit against it right now. So we are not going to comment without our lawyers here. In terms of the other piece that you had said, I'm not sure about the Brooklyn Borough vote, but this will be going through City Council, and if the City Council votes it down, there is, we will go through the next steps there. But this has been a very, very popular program, maybe not amongst everyone, but amongst many people throughout the city, and we have had huge success with the emergency, and it has been a really, really exciting way for New Yorkers and tourists alike to reimagine the streets and reimagine space in the city. And so we are looking forward to trying to get this program passed and making it as successful as possible.
So just to provide clarity, what the City Council is voting on is the rules of the zoning resolution that affects sidewalks, and also that there are restaurants that are not in commercially zoned districts. They may be grandfathered uses, so they're legal uses, but they don't normally have the right to use the sidewalk because they're not in a commercial district. So that is the limitation of what the City Council is voting on.
It will also be giving DOT the opportunity to run the Sidewalk Cafe program that is formally run by DCWP.
That's not in the zoning resolution though, right?
Not the zoning resolution, but in the City Council legislation.
So by default, the change, then the jurisdiction as mentioned would go to DOT. And so if the zoning was turned down, then we have two things going on. City planning's regulations would still govern sidewalk cafes after the emergency is over, unless there's a subsequent zoning text change in the future for the council to consider. And again, City Planning Commission is advising the council that the existing rules won't go away until replaced by design guidelines. So then, the issue would be for restaurants not in commercial districts, they would not be able to continue with sidewalk cafes. However, the domain of the street still becomes a separate issue beyond the zoning text change. So at the closure of emergency rules, the intent was to have, well, how do you have permanent rules? So for example, if you looked at the very beginning of the presentation, you saw seating with umbrellas. You didn't see sheds necessarily. You did see barriers. So what we're seeing in the future could look more like that diagram, or it could look like any combination of what you see today. It's very open-ended. And then is it possible the design guidelines may treat all streets alike, or may it treat some streets differently where there may be different tiers of what's acceptable on different streets? This is all open-ended right now. So taking advantage of the public process that's being set up over the next year is very important.
Thank you for that. And we have one more question from the public. I believe Barry. You can state your name and affiliation for the record, and the floor is yours.
Hi, this is Shannon from Berry Street Alliance.
Barry, yes.
Hi, I'm just concerned. Julie seems to be completely oblivious to very sincere complaints about open street restaurants as implemented in residential zones. There was a 10-hour hearing by the commission, New York City Commissioner, and residents showed up and they were very clear and concise about what their critiques were. Why is the DOT not taken any of that information into consideration at this point?
As I mentioned before, and I'm not completely oblivious, so thank you
You're
for that
welcome
comment.
to come
But
to Williamsburg. I'm
as I mentioned before, we are taking into account all of the comments and concerns that we have gotten. That is why we're going through this large public process and many months of community stakeholder
Okay, so you're
meetings.
deflecting again. You're not
And
answering my question. Thank you. I'm done.
Okay. This is once again, this is not a public hearing. We want to hear everybody's issues and concerns. We do ask that everyone kind of be respectful on this platform. Julie, thank you for your question. I do apologize for addressing you incorrectly. That is the last public comment on this particular item. Richard, could you just restate before we close out this item? At the moment, I don't believe we have any hands raised, and we do have to move the agenda forward. Is there any follow-up for the board members on our end?
So there's
before we
no
thank our
action.
presenters?
There's no action by the Borough Board at this time. Again, I would encourage community boards to use the process to feed, because we're not really going to know how it's being absorbed until an actual draft proposal is put forth. So the more you could try to influence the draft proposal is in everybody's best interest.
Oh, thank you for that. So we'd like to thank DOT, the Department of Transportation, and any members from City Planning, Emily and her team, for attending, presenting to us today. Please keep engaged and involved, and get them out to your boards to present and answer any questions that you may have. I'd like to move the agenda forward to our next item, which is another presentation. This is from the Department of City Planning, and I want to ensure that we have Ms. Girolamo. Eugenia?
Yes, hello,
Girolamo, are
everyone.
you
I'm
here?
Yes, can you
So
hear
we
me?
have representatives from the Department of City Planning and Design, Urban. Hold on. Yes. So Eugenia is a Deputy Director of the Department of City Planning and Urban Design Division. And today she's here to present a brief presentation of Principles of Good Urban Design Update and Public Engagement. The floor is yours. If you have a presentation, David could put it up on the screen. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much, Ms. Purcell. And thank you, everyone, the members of the Borough Board, to giving us the time to talk to you about this important update to the principles of good urban design. So I'm going ahead and sharing my screen here. Let me know if you're not able to see it. We have a really short presentation for you today, and then we're here to answer any questions. So this is an effort that we launched this fall. It's called goodurbandesign.nyc. It's a website, it's an engagement website that we launched to consult with the public on the update to the principles of good urban design. And I'll give you a background. At the Department of City Planning, specifically in the Urban Design Division, several years ago in 2017, we have developed principles of good urban design that we wanted the department and in general agencies and New Yorkers to use when evaluating projects, but also to consider as they walk through the city. And admittedly, what we realized last year in 2020, when we looked back at them, that they were aimed at practitioners, so planners, architects, landscape architects, developers as well, And as we reevaluated them, it really felt like they were a little jargony and they felt a little bit disconnected with what was going on in the city at that time and is still going on. So the health crisis, the pandemic that we're living, the housing crisis in which we're in, but also the racial equity issues that really are coming more and more front and center. And it's something that we as a society really need to address. And so we really embarked into this effort of rethinking the principles of good urban design and making sure that they are available to all New Yorkers and they can actually use them as a tool in getting engaged in the public process. And so we created this website with a first draft of the reimagining of the principles, and we are taking in feedback from everyone as we rewrite them and plan to update them. So you may or may not be aware of what the principles are, but today they are available on our website, nyc.gov/urban-design in the resources page. But what the principles are is that good urban design should reinforce a sense of place of a neighborhood, should support the ease of movement around the city and an accessible public realm, should incorporate details to ensure quality, durability, stewardship, and maintenance, and ensure that our city is comfortable, welcoming, and feels safe to all. I mentioned this already a little bit, but the goal of having this website is to create an interactive platform that will engage with communities directly and will ensure that we can better their environment through ensuring that these principles are incorporate all neighborhoods' perspectives and needs. We wanted the website and the principles to be for the general public, community boards, but also schools, local partners, CBOs, BIDs, DCP, of course, and other city agencies who we're in contact with, institution, industry experts, and of course also architects and developers. So as I said, we've launched the site and we are making sure that we can spread the word as much as possible. We want for the short term to make sure that through this website, we enhance the way we engage at city planning. We also offer not only a site where people can share their ideas on what urban design in the city means to them and what the built environment in New York City means to them, but also offer an educational tool on urban design, and I will walk you through the site a little bit. And of course, update the principles. And in the long term, we want people and communities to use these tools to also inform portions of the community district needs statements, and in general, making sure that we more and more ensure that we plan for a more equitable city. So there are 3 activities on the site. One is a survey that quite quickly lets people share their location, what aspects of the principles most resonate with them, and how they identify. And these definitely inform directly the rewriting of the principles and would give us geographic specificities to really allow us to understand how people think differently about their built environment in different places in the city. There's a wall of ideas. That's what we've been calling it. It's a way for people to share a story about their neighborhood and more on the qualitative side, and really for people to interact with each other around these ideas about their neighborhood. And then we have a forum section. This is where people can directly read the current draft of the principles and give us detailed feedback and also tell us what is missing. And this, of course, as you can imagine, will inform also the rewriting of the principles directly. So among the resources that New Yorkers can expect are a community planning guide that really guide community members and everyone to engage with public processes and being civically engaged. We will, of course, release the principles of good urban design. And again, hoping that all of this information can further inform the community district needs statements. So what we've heard so far, we've engaged with the public by sharing this site on social media. It is available on Westy Link. It's on the ferries. We've gotten some coverage in the local news outlets. We've also reached out to community boards, to all of you, or we are in the process of reaching out to all of you, and this is one of those efforts. We presented to some community boards already directly. We presented to 4 and 17 recently, but we really want to make sure that we reach out to even more boards and even more community. And the excitement that we've seen is really the access to new resources for community, for them to better advocate for what they want to see in their neighborhoods. But we've also heard concerns, timing. Why now? And also, why is this site closing in the new year? So we originally planning on closing the site for public input at the end of January, but because of the concerns that we're hearing, we are actively considering keeping it open longer. And this is something that we will decide likely this week, and we are looking at potentially keeping it open until the end of February based on the feedback we've received. We've heard issues of accessibility, specifically to language and internet access. So the site can be actively translated through Google Translate, but in general is in English. So what we are trying to do to address these concerns that we received, we are making the survey available in also other languages, and we're starting with Spanish and Chinese, I believe, and we are looking to move forward into French Creole, and other and Russian as well. That's what we're looking into, and we're hoping to update the site soon with those added languages. And how will the data be analyzed and shared? Making sure that we are genuinely taking people's perspective into account. And to that end, we are looking, yes, to update the principles. These are general principles that apply to the entirety of the city of New York and all communities. But we also want to release all the data and the feedback we received in a platform that could be searchable, or people can look up feedback from a geographic perspective. So people will be able to see how each neighborhood has answered differently and how they've shared their feedback differently throughout the city. And we are looking to share also the raw data if community boards are interested with you as well. So you can see how your constituents have answered these questions. So general next steps, as we said, the site has been up since mid-September. We are considering or planning to keeping it open until the end of February to really intensify broad public engagement. We are currently working with Department for the Aging, NYCHA, the New York Public Libraries, and CUNY to try to reach as many people as possible, especially the ones that don't have access to the internet. And we're working with them to figure out ways for us to do this in an analog way. And of course, we're reaching out to you and practitioners as well. We're reaching out to the AAA, the Urban Design Forum, and other institutions as well. We will use the month of March to analyze and review the data and the feedback we received and share it back with everyone publicly. And in April to May, we aim to release the updated principles, promote them publicly, and making them a key part of the way we do our work at city planning. So we really want you again to share this resource with your constituents, and we want to make ourselves available to answer questions now. I'll walk you through the site very quickly as well. But if you would like us to come and present this effort to your community board or any local groups that you think would be interested, we are available. I can make myself and my colleague who's joining me here, Julian Snack, and our team available to you. I will share my email in the chat so you have direct access to it as well. But the main thing is we really want you to participate in this effort, share your feedback, and use this as a tool. I'll just walk through this very quickly. Here you can select your language, and the site will automatically translate. So that's a quick way for us to address language access issues. But what you see on the site is a great animation. It's 4 minutes long that explain what is urban design in terms that are understandable by everyone. You will see here the 3 activities that I've explained, that I've walked you through. This is the survey, the ideas page, the ideas wall, and then the detailed forum for feedback. You'll have some explanation of how we're going to use this feedback, and something I want to show you right away is this community planning guide that people can have access to and download. Is a 1-pager that kind of asks the question, how would you like to shape your neighborhood? And there are 3 almost paths that could be followed. I would like to make an improvement, like request a tree or a bench. I would like to propose a big idea, or I would like to give back to an existing project on plan. And people can, by clicking on these stars with numbers, then have access to a resource page that is a quite detailed resource page where we link people to different sites and agencies that are in charge of the specific issue that a community member may be interested in. And something that through the feedback that we received that we would also like to add to this page is how to talk to your community board, and we will link to the index of community boards on the city's website so people know how also to get involved and communicate with you. And another, just quick, we have tabs on how to use these principles in real life, our approach to engagement, and also a glossary of some of the key terms that are used in planning that may feel a little jargony and intimidating to people. And so this is starting to hopefully break down some of the barrier between the work that we do and the people's life and quality of life in communities. So thank you so much for your time, and I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you, Gina, for your presentation. I'm going to open the board to board members for any questions regarding the presentation. I don't see any hands. It doesn't seem like we have any questions from board members. You dropped the information in the chat, right?
I believe my colleague has, otherwise I'll do it right now.
Okay.
I'm working on a single screen, so I have to.
You're working on the single screen, and I'm seeing to have a little bit technical delay with the hand raising. So I don't see any questions from board members on this particular presentation. Do you have questions from the public regarding this presentation? And we do not have any questions. I guess it's pretty straight to the point. You know, they're going to try to extend it, possibly. The deadline was January, and you're looking to go and present at boards, correct?
Yes, we will likely extend it to the end of February.
Okay, thank you for that. So that concludes, with no questions, that concludes our business with the Department of City Planning in
Ms.
regards.
Purcell, I'm sorry, I'm very sorry to interrupt. I just see one question in the chat from CB5 about how to get this presentation to their executive committee. And I will share my email address right now in the chat. Feel free to email me directly, and we will organize a presentation for you and your board. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
I have a question, and I'm raising my hand, but it's not, I guess it's not reading.
Yes, for some reason it's not. Member of the public? Isn't it? Yeah, it's not reading. If a member of my team could also flag for any hand raising, that'll be great too as well. Thank you. Cheryl?
Yes, it's me
Yes.
again. Hi, Sherry Leone, member of QUIP. I do want to thank you very, very much, Eugenia. I really appreciate your presentation. I appreciate the seriousness with which you have developed and detailed your public outreach guideline and program. And I just wanted to say that in contrast to what immediately preceded yours, the presentation and the process for that particular issue and program that the city is proposing, that this is a model of what public engagement should be. And I would really request all the community board members on this call and all the city council members to please demand this kind of public engagement for permanent open restaurants. I think we deserve it as inhabitants of this city. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl, for your comment. And just to know, we do copy all comments in the chat for our records. So if you did leave a comment or concern in the chat, we do take that down too as well. Thank you, Cheryl. So that concludes our business. with the Department of City Planning, with the presentation for the new urban design website for community engagement and feedback. Thank you, Regina, for your presentation. We're going to go into our next item on the agenda, which is, do we have any unfinished business from members? I would just like to note for the record, Michelle, if you could note that Councilmember Barron representative was noted that she was present. I just want to make sure that our minutes and the record. Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Any unfinished business for members of the board? Do we have any new business from members of the board?
New business.
New business. Is that Barry?
It is.
Okay, Barry. Yes.
I just want to take the opportunity to thank you, Sarana, for the services these past few years. Found you always very helpful and extremely professional. So I would like to give you a hand of applause.
Oh, thank you, Barry. That's very kind of you. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Melinda. Thank you. And thank you to our entire team and the board. I also want to just acknowledge, I believe Richard Flateau, I don't know if he's going to be back joining us next year as a board member. I heard from a source, maybe not, but I'll just like to acknowledge the members of the board who have, been attending these many months through COVID. I don't think we missed a meeting, even in COVID. Even when we started out, we were trying to figure it out together. We did it together. So it's been a pleasure and a privilege. Miss Teresa and Richard Flateau, I just want to highlight, if you're not going to be back, you have been just a great navigator in regards to our meetings, especially being on point in regards to Robert Rule of Order of conducting the meeting. So I'd just like to acknowledge all of our long-term members of the board. It has definitely been a pleasure. So thank you, Barry, and thank you to all the members of the board.
Thank you, Sarana. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Savannah, Ms. Fuller.
Yes.
I'd like to thank you for everything you've done and all, excuse me, and all the patience that you've had with us. It's been a pleasure working with you, and I wish you Godspeed in all your endeavors.
Thank you, Ms. Flores. Thank you, Ms. Flores. It's been a pleasure working with all of you. So, and I will be in contact. I am responding to emails, and I've been in contact with some boards since yesterday. So we're going to make sure that we have a smooth transition. We're in constant contact with the new administration, and as many of you had made several requests, we'll make sure that nothing gets lost in the fold, whether it be through board appointments or any issues that come up on the board. All our presentations are online. And they'll have that record to review and our notes and everything like that. So we'll ensure that we have a smooth transition. So the work of the board and the members of the board is, is easier. So thank you, Ms. Fuller.
Hi, Sarana. Tim, I'd just like to say to everyone, happy holidays. Sarana, it's been a pleasure working with you. Teresa, I've learned so much from you. Thank you. And Mr. Camacho, never a dull day. So keep up, keep fighting. And everyone, again, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, whatever holiday you celebrate. Coming from the council member and staff here, Councilmember Samuel, best wishes in 2022.
Yeah, I would also like to thank all of you. Without you, especially our seniors and our people that have been on this and educated us to make sure that we help the forgotten ones and make sure that we can continue to be in a place where we always wanted to be and nobody wanted, and all of a sudden now everybody wants to come here. So we want to make sure that we all, if I live next door to a billionaire, that I can also live to someone in a shelter that's not having their fair share. So we want to make sure, and I want to thank the borough boards and all the board members for chiming in and also making me stronger. It's been a rough time, especially in Bushwick. Every time something happens, our people lose out on a lot of things, man, and it's kind of disheartening. But we really got to work and focus on bringing our people back home and keeping where we stay for home. And I also want to thank let the people that are coming in there know that we need to continue fighting the fight for us. And the people that are coming in there need to do just like our borough president did, and just like the people that are here now, and making sure we have a platform where we can exercise our right and make sure that we can continue to live here and be here. And the people that are in here, you see the melting pot that is in here, the people that want it, the people that don't want it, the people, we all got to be on the same page. And I want to thank all of you. And I also want to thank the Deputy Borough President. She enlightens me. She gives me more enthusiasm to keep fighting for our people. And I want to thank all of you. I'm going to miss y'all, whoever's not going to be here. I guess I might be here depending on the boards. If they vote me or don't, I'm back on the board. But I still will try to continue to fight for our people and make sure that we can all live in some place where it was hard for us to live back in the 60s and 70s, where nobody wanted to see, where the epidemic was killing us. And now it's they changed the word from crackheads to dope fiend to epidemic. So I don't know which one is which, but we all need to be on the same page. And I want to thank all of you, all your board members, for your dedication.
Thank you,
I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Camacho, for your passion.
I'm sorry, Miss Purcell. I do apologize for sneaking in. It's Joan Alexander Bacardine, Chairperson, Community Board 17. I want to first thank Mr. Cunningham for showing up and for me on my behalf, but I could not let today end without sneaking in and extending my gratitude first to the Borough President, to the Borough Board, to you and Ms. Ingrid Martin for your fantastic leadership, for your guidance, making my year and a half as chairperson quite effective and efficient, and making me feel as if I've done something for my community, for my people, as Mr. Camacho has said. And Mr. Camacho, thank you for being you. You have made you have made these meetings quite interesting for me. You have riled me up and then repositioned me in the lane of action for our people. I do thank you for that. I thank Ms. Titus and Mr. Flateau and just all these amazing people who are here, who have done so much to help me to not only fit in, but to get down to brass tacks and to get the business done for our community. I extend my gratitude, my appreciation for being a part of this fantastic group. And I know that you will transition, Ms. Purcell and everyone in the Borough President's office. You will make sure that we are transitioned over smoothly. We will definitely appreciate and hold you accountable if it doesn't happen. But I just wanted to make sure that I say happy holiday, all the best in 2022, and I look forward to what happens next. But I did want to sneak in on my break. I've got to head back into the jury room, but I wanted to make sure that I did express my appreciation for all that we have done together. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Joan.
Okay, Serrana, I would be
Do your
remiss.
civil duty.
The last 8
Go ahead,
years,
Teresa.
the last 8 years have been memorable, whether it's working with you, Ingrid, Richard, all the staff at Borough Hall has been nothing but accommodating. I just want to take the opportunity to wish everyone only the best for the holiday season and only good health going into the new year.
Thank you. Teresa, I thought he was going to put a motion to end the meeting. That's what I heard. You're like, oh.
No, we don't want to leave. We don't want to leave. But I want to make a motion to get out of here. How's that?
Joan Bacardine seconds. Bacardine seconds.
Teresa fooled you for one time, right?
I know, but Teresa. Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Returning? Aye, thank you so much. So enjoy your holiday season. Have a wonderful 2020. I will be in contact, and I'm a phone call or email away. So we'll make sure for a smooth transition. I see you, Mr. Camacho.
Happy holidays, everyone. Be safe.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Thank
you. Have a good day, everybody. Be blessed.
Be blessed.
Thank you. Thank you, Karen.